It is Friday. This is RawMikeRichards.com, broadcasting from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto out of 234 King Street East, the Pacific Junction Hotel. And you know what Friday means? The sexy pics of gold sex. The Dave Bastel foreplay. Are we doing, Russell, did we have your happy endings? You got happy endings today?
I can look. I can do them.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into it, but I can do it.
Do it.
Do we still not have a 3-shot? Is that? I'm sure the people need to know. They want to know where's the whole.
Hopefully for next week's shows we'll have it figured out.
Oh, they're right on top of that. They are.
Take your time.
Hey.
No rush.
Alrighty then. Also, old Stephen Rapp. He joins us today from Sports Interaction. By the way, have you done it yet? Have you gone to the site? Dave, it's really easy, and it's literally, it's when you say free money, it doesn't really happen all that often these days, but it is kind of free money.
Yeah, it does happen on sportsinteraction.com. Go to the site, click on sign up because they want your information, where the funds are going to and coming from and all that kind of good stuff. It's very easy. It's one page. And at the bottom of the page, there is how did you find us? So it's a drop-down menu. You click on it. It gives you a couple options. Raw Mike Richards is where you want to go with it. And as soon as you click on that, it guarantees you your 100% first-time sign-up bonus up to $200. So what that essentially is if you say you have $100 on you, $200 on you, you double it right away. It's 2 becomes 4, 1 becomes 2, 50 becomes 100. You want to take advantage of that, so you want to hit the 200 mark because you've already doubled up your money to $400 right there. You have it ready for the season, and you know what? There's plenty of NFL to go. Still, 3-4 months left in the season, and you're kind of getting a feel of who are the pretenders, who are the contenders, who are the teams that might do something. So now's a good time to start betting on these games because you have an idea. You have a sample size of 6-7 games of what the teams are all about, who's going to quit on you, who's not, and who's going to cover. And we'll get to that a little bit later on in our program.
The covering is all that we really care about, Dave. We've said this time and time again. You may have a favorite team. Maybe your grandfather played for that team. Maybe your family's last name is like Bombers. It really doesn't matter. Although that'd be kind of cool if you did have
it'd be a really good last name, actually.
Steve Ballmer, pretty good, pretty cool.
Fantastic.
But we know that covering really is the only thing that matters in making money. So if we look at last night's game, and a lot of people would have been on the home dog, I believe. So if you're talking about the Oakland Raiders and the game that Derek Carr had, which was crazy, the game itself is now representative, I got to be honest, of Thursday night football games, Dave, that are actually good. It wasn't that long ago that we were pounding on it because really historically these games have been terrible.
Yeah.
But last night certainly was not one of those games. And I guess aside from the bizarreness of the penalties at the end of the game, what was it, +3 kickoff? It would have been
+3 kickoff. Raiders, yeah, Raiders at home in those white jerseys with a little bit of silver.
Yeah, but you know what? They're classic kind of looking ones. I do like them.
Hey, trust me, there's been a lot of crappy-looking Thursday night jerseys, and that's not one of them.
And that's not one of them. No.
Looking at you, Tampa Bay. Looking at you.
Yeah. Well, and, eventually I think we will get a line on that game. We'll get to those numbers in a bit, but I believe shortly, because if you answer questions of, Jameis Winston, then if he is actually practicing questionable, that number's going to get in the board at some point soon, which is why we'll talk to Stephen Rapp from Sports Interaction. But last night, a couple of penalties, like 3 or 4 penalties. I think all decent calls. I don't think you can argue with some of those calls. But finally, they get into the end zone, Dave. It was Derek Carr and Cooper, of all people. Imagine, had a pretty big game. They got him the ball. He looked fantastic. And so now you have Andy Reid with yet another loss. And I'll be honest, that was Oakland's season on the line last night. They had to win that game.
Yeah, they had to get themselves back into it. Now they're only a game under 500. Imagine the scenario in Oakland if you're 3 games under 500 this early in the season, losing a division rival. You mentioned Amari Cooper. Welcome to the 2017 season, Amari Cooper, because entering this game, this guy had 147 yards receiving in total. Yesterday, 210, 11 catches, 2 touchdowns. Looked like the Amari Cooper that we're kind of used to seeing. The Amari Cooper that was drafted with a first-round pick by the Oakland Raiders, a guy that is solidifying a receiving core between him and Michael Crabtree, a very good 1-2 punch on the sides and the flanker positions. I'm still questioning the running attack of the Oakland Raiders because Marshawn Lynch hasn't shown me anything, and he even got into some trouble yesterday where the Oakland Raiders are probably going to be missing him for at least a couple of games.
That display of, lack of professionalism, I'm being kind, Dave. The inability to control yourself is usually, that's a line in the sand when you start talking about adulthood. Controlling yourself. Just absolutely implodes, comes off the bench, grabs an official, grabs him by his actual
jersey,
by the jersey, and I don't know. I mean, his cousin was on the other side. So what, Dave? You're supposed to back your own team, not a guy on the other team because you're related to him. I don't know what the eventual fine is going to be, Dave, or how they're going to view this, but I mean, that kind of outburst, it reminds me almost of Odell Beckham, was it a couple of years ago now where he had an absolute one of the worst games I've seen by a professional in any sport, just by his actions. And when you look at Marshawn Lynch, I'll be interested to see what the team does.
Yeah.
Like the league will have some say.
The league will I think the league will do everything to do with suspensions and stuff like that, and the Raiders is probably just going to sit there and take it, accept it, not do anything additionally to it. I would be shocked if it was under 2 games, just because it was a referee. I'd even say it could be as much as 3 games for actually grabbing an official. But because the more and more I think about it, and the protection of the referees, 2, 3, 4 games. That's a nice chunk of the season for the Oakland Raiders and a team that kind of needs this guy to step up his game because he just hasn't done it yet.
No, he doesn't, and I don't know, just by sort of his actions, I don't know how much you can expect from him. I don't think I mean, I think they wanted it probably more or less to turn out the way that the Arizona Cardinals have found Adrian Peterson. I think they were hoping for that kind of magic. I don't think they're going to get it.
No.
I don't think they're going to get it.
Well, that Peterson game last week against Tampa Bay was fantastic, and if he still has it, I don't know if he could put that kind of game together week in and week out, but the guy hasn't been used that much. He wasn't used in New Orleans. He wasn't used last year. So maybe this is his last kick at it, and good on the Cardinals for picking up somebody that they're going to actually utilize properly and kind of set up that passing game with a nice ground game.
So once again, the Thursday nighter, crazy, 31-30. It had enough drama, and as I said, you pretty much soiled yourself if you had whichever number you had, you wouldn't have known to the very last play of the game. Don't mind that kind of engagement. They're going to be, and I'll be honest, the Thursday nighter, which has always been flat, followed by whatever happens on the weekend, and then it's about 50-50 on when you're going to get on a Monday Night Football game. Well, you've got the Redskins at the Eagles for your Monday nighter.
Good game.
That might be one of the best games of the week.
Yep, the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the top teams out there. Nice young quarterback with a good offense. The defense actually is picking up where it left off last year. First place in the division. The Redskins, Kirk Cousins looks like he knows exactly what he's doing. The guy just continues to produce on the field offensively, statistically, and I just sit there and I wonder how much money the Redskins have lost because they haven't locked this guy up 2-3 years ago when they had a good opportunity. Now that number on Cousins next year, if they actually re-sign him at a multi-year deal, which obviously Cousins is looking to get, could be exceeding Matthew Stafford's number.
Well, I think if you're doing the sport math, Dave, that we talk about sometimes, it probably would be. It probably would be. I also heard some conversation about Carson Wentz, what I thought was sort of interesting, and it does lend itself to the way that we treat our modern-day athletes, especially a quarterback that's worth that kind of money, is he playing the kind of football that occasionally endangers himself. That is, he plays at such a hard level. So he's someone that, you got to use your head. You've got to think down the road about, actually playing games instead of maybe occasionally taking a chance and playing the hard way. Now, you saw it a couple of weeks ago. I think I even tweeted it out. They're on the goal line. He takes that ball, and he goes head first right in the linebacker. Like, he takes him on. That's what you do in football. I mean, you do it every day. It's called a pit drill. So you line up two guys. I put the pylons on each side. You cannot go outside of those pylons. I blow the whistle or scream in my coach voice, ball! And away you go. And like Warriors, you hear that crack of the plastic, and that's what you do. And every player has been doing that since the age of probably Pop Warner. It's just what they do. But at some point, Dave, do you want to see big Carson Wentz out there taking on a linebacker?
Nope.
Because it's like, don't do that. But it's hard to get it out of these. It's in their DNA. They've been that way since they were 8. I thought it was an interesting conversation because I think it's okay. Put it this way: if RG3 had gone into the professional ranks with the thinking of I need to play for a long time, if someone has that conversation with him, I know it's hard to take what makes you RG3. You're a highlight reel at Baylor. But at some point as a professional, you just can't do it, Dave. And I thought it was an interesting conversation because, you just talked about Kirk Cousins. We mentioned, Matthew Stafford. The monies that are spent on these guys, it's like Aaron Rodgers. They're your whole team sometimes.
Yeah, it's maybe the cornerstone of a sports position.
I think so.
Like, I don't think
I also think it's the hardest position, Dave.
I don't think there's a position in sports that kind of exceeds the quarterback position in football. So, and considering the bar is set at Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins a much better quarterback in my eyes, has been the last couple of years, has been this year as well. You know what? It's not like Washington doesn't have the funds for it either. Yeah. We know who the owner is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's got, his pants are made of money.
It might be, actually.
Money pants.
Yeah, money pants.
Last night, by the way, we talked about Clayton Kershaw being arrested. Not only are they arrested, but Enrique Hernandez has now decided that he will be, David, the best player who has ever played Major League Baseball.
Not a bad game, eh? Too bad. Already people were were signing off on it just because the Dodgers kind of had this wrapped up. It was weird. I read online yesterday. I think it was the 17th time that all pro leagues were actually playing on the same night, which was cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that. I mean, that's why we always talk about October being the busy time. But last night was nuts.
And you add on NCAA had a game last night too. The Cougars were playing, and
we called that one, by the way. We said take +3 Memphis.
Absolutely, and then whatchamacallit, you had the 4 sports going. It was
NBA, the Raps.
Night. Exactly. So
played the Chicago Whoever's. I recognize Lopez, but after that,
kind of sparse.
Yeah,
This isn't your father's Chicago Bulls team.
No, it's not. And I'm still amazed, when you sit there and watch, I guess the Lopez brothers, but guys of that size, the way they take that 3, it literally looks like they take the ball. I look at it from a technical standpoint. It looks like they go like this. They take the ball with a ball, like if you're placing it in front of your forehead and going like this, poof, like chucking it. I don't know how it goes in, and it goes in a lot if you're one of the Lopez brothers. Well, certainly last night, but they've got no chance. By the way, we'll get back to the Bulls and Raps, but last night it was the Dodgers. I guess they finally end a 29-year series drought, but again, Eric Hernandez makes history, becoming the first player to hit 3 homers and record 7 RBI in a postseason game. They take the series, not surprisingly, and Clayton Kershaw was Clayton Kershaw. I would say that the insinuation that playoffs are difficult for him probably isn't a conversation anymore. And here it is courtesy and property of Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Advanced Media.
Strikes, 2 down and the base is empty. Kershaw rocks into the windup and the pitch, and a swing and a miss at a curveball that bounced out in front of the plate. Baez never runs, and now Barnes comes back to put the tag on him. Here's the 3-2 fastball at the knees for strike 3 called. 3-2 and strike 3 called. A slider in there for the first out. Into Barnes, ready to go. And the 3-2 pitch, fastball right down the middle. I mean, right down the middle for strike 3 call.
That, of course, was Dan Schulman, our friend here from Toronto. Dave, sounding very baseball-y.
He is very baseball-y.
Yeah.
He's the voice of baseball.
Yeah. He's won a bunch of awards, too, down there. Good for him.
Apparently, yeah.
So there it is. 11-1 was your final. Do we have any of the Hernandez magic? No?
Yeah, there were 7 RBIs of it.
Yeah, you mean the greatest performance in the history of man? And you, let me guess, you got Austin Matthews shopping at Sobeys yesterday, picking up a head of lettuce.
Yeah, we can go to that video if you want.
From afar, jiggling behind like, the dairy section.
The Blair Witch presentation of Austin Matthews.
Now he's following me into the men's room. Okay, let's cut that tape. Okay, don't worry about it. So already they're like, well, Kershaw starts game number 1. So they're ready to go.
Yep.
They're ready to go.
They got everything lined up. They're waiting, and chances are they're going to wait for a little bit longer. Tonight it's game 6. And if it does push to a game 7, it would be Saturday night at 8 o'clock. So I'm guessing the World Series would start on.
Because you're thinking 7 in your head. I know you, David Bastel. You're thinking 7. You're thinking Verlander wins tonight.
Yeah, Monday or Tuesday. I'm guessing game 1 of the World Series. Yeah, I think Verlander wins tonight. I would bet the Astros push this to a game 7, and then you'd have all hands on deck on both sides. The Dodgers are probably licking their lips because the Yankees and the Astros would be using 5 pitchers each.
Yeah, they'll unload on this one.
Draining the bullpen, the starting staff. I mean, don't be surprised if Verlander would pitch game 6 and part of game 7 as well.
Well, Dave, also I think too, we're talking about Houston and winning. So yeah, you got Verlander, which was that awesome pickup, but they got to start getting those sticks going. They're going to start. They need to find some offense here.
My wife just texted me and said the date is confirmed that the World Series starts on the best day of the year, Tuesday, October the 24th, which happens to be her and Vicky's birthday. Yeah, she just said that. Yeah. On Sportsnet, by the way. Sportsnet, your World Series coverage, wall to wall. So that would be the confirmed date on Tuesday.
Vicky's birthday. I wonder what'll get her. Okay, that's really not the right music at all.
No, but it's thought-provoking where you're wondering what that gift will be, because I kind of threw it on you here on a Friday, but you still have 4 more days to go out and get it.
Yeah, you hear something that starts that way, the voice might be, well, hello, Victoria. I see it's your birthday. Perhaps you like something I have in my basement. Don't fret. You seem lovely. Like you did yesterday when you went in that black Cordoba. At 8:45 a.m. in the morning, I followed you to the post office. Yes. Happy birthday, my dog.
Happy birthday, yes. Yeah, okay. So that's coming up next week.
Okay, so that the world's worst present.
Yes.
That was my show. Ta-da!
I think it was a nice thought, though.
Yeah. Vic, where are you going? I was just joking around. Don't run from me! Yeah. Verlander tonight. What time do you say the game starts?
8 o'clock. Or as Major League Baseball likes to say, 8:07.
Yeah, come on, baseball. So irritating.
8:08.
Yeah, and by the way, let's pick up the pace.
Yeah. It'd be lovely if they actually started these games at 7 o'clock too. I mean, I don't need to sit there at 11 o'clock at night deciding whether or not I'm gonna contemplate the 9th inning or not, because they're dragging their asses.
It is true. The Raptors, which we talked a little bit about briefly, just to say that last night it was one of those games where I got to be honest. If the Raps didn't take care of business, I was going to be a little worried. Only because I just think that probably in the long run, this is a Chicago team that they better be thinking rebuild or starting from the bottom up, because they really don't have that much.
Yep.
The Raptors again play kind of that fourth quarter sometimes isn't their friend. That's historically how they played. But this game probably off the top certainly in the first quarter, I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. It was way tired. And then in the second quarter, they basically ran away with it. But this, again, property of the National Basketball Association. What quarter are we looking at here, Rusty?
Second quarter.
Second quarter, and this is where the separation came, and good on the Raptors.
Attempted a three-pointer that was too strong. He'll swing it this time. Here's C.J. Miles, and he connects.
You get that, the more space opens up and they're more effective.
DeLon on the inside. Oh, what? He quickly getting it up the court. OG Anunoby spins around. Quincy Pondexter.
Saturday's game so critical. What are you expecting at home, BMO Field, Saturday when Winnipeg comes into town?
We're expecting a physical game, but we know this.
Webster, general manager, we're comfortable with moving Corey Joseph, and we wish him all the best in Indiana with the Pacers.
That, once again, courtesy of our friends at TSN, that was our buddy Matt Devlin, who was just on the show doing that game.
Yeah, and sideline reporter Kate Burness.
I could tell it was her.
You
Sorry.
could.
I could tell it was her. Kate, how come your voice is getting lower? How's that even possible?
Well,
she's going to be working with Mike Luck soon at the 94.9 The Rock.
I don't know.
And now it's time for the news. Here's Mike Luck. Thanks, Kate. What? The hell was that all about? Okay, there's something being played here. Oh, LeVar Ball, by the way.
Yeah, great game.
Ball
stopper.
That's going to be tough.
Ball time.
Look, it was his.
All ball.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
They're because his father was yapping on
Yeah.
something. They lose to the Clippers 108-92. But I'll be honest, it's one of those years where, regardless of what happens in Los Angeles, everyone is just waiting to find out if it will be family and friends the following year.
It will be.
You know,
a purple and gold reunion.
They're just, is the assumption of guys like LeBron going out. Now, do you like the thought of this? Are you a fan of?
I'm okay with LeBron leaving the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I
Actually,
think a lot of people will be showing up at the airport. Best of luck.
but you put another superpower in the West, and then you kind of sit there in the East. Really would be like the weak sisters. But legitimately, say LeBron does leave, would the Raptors have to battle the Celtics, and that's probably about it as far as being. Don't get me wrong.
No, I know why you said it, though.
No disrespect to the Bucks or the 76ers who will be here on Saturday. That's a pretty good team. And you look at that and you go, okay, because Cleveland won't be Cleveland anymore. Boston.
No, as soon as LeBron leaves, you are one of the many.
And your top three teams: Boston, Toronto, Cleveland. Washington's going to have some response to it, but the East would be really wide open. And I guess growing up, watching Magic Johnson in Laker purple, it just people are attracted to that franchise, like your Kobe's and your LeBron James. I just can't see it not happening, and I think it is going to be a LeBron and friends because it's going to be multiple. And I'm looking at you, Paul George, because we all know Paul George is probably heading over the Lakers too. So you take George, LeBron. You already have Ball in place, who probably is going to score more than 3 points in 29 minutes, like he did yesterday. And you know what? You have some competition for the Golden State Warriors because the Warriors are still going to be good.
You mentioned Milwaukee. They beat the Celtics again, so the Celtics lose yet again.
Yep.
And you know who was the big star last night?
Oh, our Greek freak.
Yes,
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah. Let's hear that again.
Antetokounmpo.
Okay, I was going to back that up. Of course, the computer. As you see,
Yanni Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, don't say the S.
Yeah.
Right, Vic? You don't say the S.
No. So you're already scoring points.
I've studied such a long time.
Screw the birthday gift. I think you're in.
Look at the computer. I was going to set up Dave with a fun little Greek.
Oh.
Okay, this is. I don't know what that is. Okay,
it's good music.
Here we go now.
Okay.
You ready to say the name?
Yeah.
What? You suck.
You just let me know.
Okay, here we go.
There we go.
And now, the pronunciation.
Yes.
Of the name of the gentleman referred to as the Greek Freak.
Yes.
By David Bastel, the way it's supposed to be done.
Yanni Antetokounmpo.
Opa!
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 Don't pronounce the S.
Yes.
You're going to watch every single highlight reel tonight, tomorrow, next week, next 5 years, and as soon as they see the S, it's Giannis. Giannis, trust me, I've been I've been around enough Yannis to know that it's Yanni. Yanni Antetokounmpo.
By the way, Victoria, would you like to come to my villa on one of the islands? Okay.
I recommend the island of Cole.
I don't know why I sound like Mr. Rourke from Fantasy Island there. Greek is more like this, I think.
They could have.
Yes,
you
want
know
to
what?
come to,
Mr. Rourke probably could have had some sort of Greek resort.
By the way,
kind of that,
the shit phone is listening to us, and something just came up. What does it say?
Highlight reel tonight, tomorrow. That's what it says.
Yeah.
And trust me, you did not type that.
We didn't touch that.
You did not type that.
That.
You would never type
Once
that.
again, the Moto 4G or whatever it is.
Hello, Moto.
Well, yeah.
You're garbage.
Yeah, and I found out yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it will be in the garbage within 2 weeks.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hey,
See you
that's
later.
exciting.
See you later, asshole. Worst phone ever.
Well, you know where you got it from, so it's
Okay.
kinda...
Speaking of Greek, we're gonna phone Stephen Raposa.
Oh.
Rapos.
Rapopoulos.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. Just Dave, if you want to.
Here we go. Camera on me, Rusty. Damn it. Pay attention.
Oh my God.
NHL schedule tonight. Let's get to it right now. Winnipeg Jets in action. That's why I'm getting to it. Winnipeg Jets in action against Minnesota Wild. We have the Buffalo Sabres hosting the terrible Vancouver Canucks. New Jersey and San Jose. Nico Hischier yesterday, 2 goals. His first 2 goals looked really, really good. They face the San Jose Sharks, who are making an East Coast trip. Washington travels to Detroit. Pittsburgh is in Florida. Montreal, who have been horrifically bad this year, in California to end their California road trip. And it couldn't come soon enough. Carey Price expected against John Gibson in that one. That is on the West Coast at 10 o'clock start here on the East Coast.
Oh.
And now Stephen Q. Rapp.
I'm looking for old Uncle Steve.
Oh, Uncle Steve is here. How are grandparents, Steve?
We did play some Greek music, so we talked to what's Stephen?
Stephen Rapopoulos.
Rapadopoulos. I'm taking you're not Greek, Stephen.
No, I'm not. I'm not Greek. I'm not. Are we officially on the air now?
Yes, of course we are. Well, you want to say something bad? I know you do.
Things?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know. I wanted to say it's just great to be with the Kings of King Street, Mike Richards, and slightly cooked David Bassler.
Come on, Stephen.
Hey,
comes out with a flurry.
You know what? As a producer of the show, I think Stephen Rapp just came up with a great name.
Yes,
the
he
Kings
did.
Of King
the Kings of King Street.
Ooh, I love it.
Well, that surpasses.
And go ahead.
That surpasses Al Waxman, I believe.
Yes, it is. It is a real bit of a riff on the Al Waxman. Yes, it is. For those old enough to be as old as I am, they might remember that.
Okay, so with age comes wisdom, Stephen Rapp. So therefore, we take a look at the busyness of the NFL. Now, just sort of looking at how lines are, there's one that we're sort of talking about that doesn't actually hit the board yet, but we're just sort of guessing at maybe a -3 Buffalo. What do you think that number is? We know Jameis Winston is actually practicing, but because he's questionable, when do you expect that number to be up on the board? What would your guess be?
I would say this is going to probably come up tomorrow, and Winston has been practicing all week. He's been throwing the ball. And this ball, and you're right, this number will probably come up Buffalo as a 3-point favorite. You might even see a 2.5 with the Bills. And boy, you know, if you've watched these Buffalo Bills over the last 80 years like I have, it's just tough to lay points. It's just tough to lay points with the Bills at any time. They are better as a dog than as a favorite. We pretty much know that. Going into it.
Now, you love the dirty dogs. You love the stinky dogs. I'm just curious, last night, I would have to think that you were probably on Oakland. I don't know, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I'm on Oakland. I mean, home teams on the Thursday night have traditionally been very good with the visiting team on a short week. I mean, dogs this last week, 11-3 season with last night's win, 54-35-1. That's just crazy. I kind of outthought myself on the show, as you know, last week, David, that I thought there would be a regression to the mean. I did not think that regression to the mean would have been me with my 1-5 on the show. Tried to take some big favorites last week, thought that would come through. It didn't. So, yeah, that was a 1-week trial, and it just didn't work out very well.
Well, someone asked me the other day about parity in the league. They said, there's a lot of parity. Well, I don't think I would use that word, Stephen. I think that there's a lot of football that's pushed itself into the middle ground. Like I'm hard pressed to say that there is an elite team right now in the NFL. And sometimes for gaming that can be good and bad depending on how big that number is going to be. But I really think the difficulty is in the lack of consistency that we see with a lot of these football teams, and therefore I think getting caught on a week where a lot of people would have lost. And I can guarantee you that happened last week as well. I just think that the level of football right now is very muddied. I don't think it's parity necessarily, as is it's not great football that's being played. There are a lot of mistakes, and I think at times, even the way the game is called, that is in terms of officiating, it comes down sometimes, like last night, to last plays of the game because it's based on flags. It's hard to gamble that way.
Well, I mean, when it gets down to officiating, and this has been kind of a pet peeve of mine going back to a few years where they used to always say the referees in the NFL are kind of part-time and they're school teachers. I think that's changed over the years, and more that they pay them more and more of them are full-time. But you still look out there, and they're guys of our ilk, our generation. Some of them look like 60, 65, 70 years old. What I don't understand is why they could not take some university athletes, college football players that aren't going to make the NFL but are still top athletes,
yep,
train them to be referees, and let them keep up with the pace of play, because the play is so fast. I do not believe these referees can put themselves in the position to make the right calls. So, yes, the refereing, I think, has been horrible. I think the play has been horrible. I think a lot of the games have been bad. Last night was not a bad game. We've had a couple good Thursday night games in a row. But, the play has been bad. And you might call it parity. I guess it's a way it's parity. Who's the best team in the NFL right now? I mean,
I don't know.
People thought it was Kansas City. They lost last night. Is it Philadelphia Eagles with a second-year quarterback? Is it New England? No. Is it Atlanta? No. I mean, is it Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers? No. I mean, Carolina? No. Who is it? I can't figure it out.
Yeah, either can I.
No, exactly. Speaking of those Green Bay Packers, so we're going to see what they look like without Aaron Rodgers for the first time in a while. The Saints are at -4 right now, and they're in Green Bay. Now, this number opened around a -6 for the Saints. Surprised that the number is dropping considering the uncertainty at the Packers quarterback position?
Well, you notice this number dropping because I think it's actually been it has come back to 4. So it's 4 now.
Yeah.
It did open 4.5, 5 in some places. There was some early money jumping on New Orleans, obviously, seeing the way Hundley played last week is coming in. It's 4 now, New Orleans. Green Bay at home. I think this is a bit of an overreaction. I mean, Hundley now has had a week under the system. He's had a week to look. Is he Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely not Aaron Rodgers. But you're still looking at a New Orleans team that goes on the road. Traditionally, not a great road team. You'd be surprising. I mean, I say they're not a great road team because they don't win 11 many games in a row. But you know what the Saints road against the spread the last 13 games on the road is?
I'm guessing.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably 4 or 5 wins tops.
Well, no, it's 11-2 against the spread in their last 13 road.
11-2.
See, I'm shocked.
That really surprised me when I was doing my research this week, and I saw that. Still, I think that Hundley's had 3 years in the system. He didn't look good last week in that relief of Rodgers, but we'll give him a pass coming in the second quarter of a game without getting a ton of reps. Saints haven't been a road chalk of this much since December 2014. To me, a little bit of an overreaction here. I'm going to be leaning to Green Bay taking the points at home, but from a handicapping perspective, really, you really don't know what you're going to get. So I lean Green Bay if I'm going to play them in any pool picks. It's not going to make my betting card this weekend.
Okay, just for a little bit of the theme today, for Stephen's people.
Yes,
the people of Greece. Let's see if we can take a look now.
I don't even like Greek food. I don't know where that came from.
Oh, come on.
You don't like Greek food.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you
Not
do.
really. I mean, cucumbers, all it is like lettuce and cucumbers. Isn't it a little bit of tzatziki sauce?
That's not insulting at all. Let's take a, okay.
Not the people, it's the food.
Let's take a look at that game in London, because I'm really not a fan. I don't like any of those. Games in London. It's cool that we get to get up, first thing in the morning. There's a football game on. That I like, but some of them can be real duds. But this is sort of interesting because those Arizona Cardinals, who, boy, they break my back more often than not. But they go in, they're going to play an LA Rams team, Steven, that scored a lot of points. I just wonder, I tend to look at that 46, which is the total, and sometimes in London I'm not really crazy depending on the quality of the pitch, if it's wet or not, but I'm a little tempted to take the over in that. What do you think in that game?
Yeah, I mean, the Rams obviously lead the league in scoring. We're one of the top teams in the league in scoring. This number opened to, it went to 3.5 at a lot of books. So we had some sharp and public on the Rams. But you're right. I mean, the over is 8-3 in the Cardinals' last 11 versus the NFC. The over is 7-1 in the Rams' last 8 games overall. I think you're going to see some points scored. I mean, Adrian Peterson looked real good last week. Obviously, his first game with Arizona. Carson Palmer, Larry Fitzgerald. Talk about the Three Amigos. I mean, I think they were originally in Three Amigos movies like 30 years ago. But they're starting to put some points up. The Rams are putting points up. Rams actually did not fly back to LA. They stayed on the East Coast last week and then went right to London to try to keep their body clock in the right frame of mind, I guess they say it. So yeah, it looks like this number could go over. You're probably going to see a lot of points scored here. The total being 46 now, open 47's dropped a point. So 46. Yeah, I agree with you. I do like the over in that game as well.
Steven, there's a couple of home dogs that are not very good teams, but do have a tendency of covering these sort of games. And I'm going to point out Chicago at +3 at home to Carolina. Clearly, Carolina the better team. San Francisco +6 at home to Dallas. Clearly, Dallas the better team. But right now, for my money, I would be leaning home side and the points. Where do you stand on these kind of games? And you know how well the 49ers have covered a lot of games for us lately.
Well, the 49ers 5 in a row, losing five in a row with by 3 points or less is an NFL record, actually. We've seen Dallas before laying points on the road. They have not been very good doing that. They're 1-4 against the spread their last 5 on the road. San Francisco's 4-0 against the spread the last 4 versus the NFC. You might want. I do lean to the points here, taking 6 points in this game. You might also want to look at the over. The over in this game currently 47. You might want to look at the over 6-0 in the Cowboys' last 6 following a bye week, 6-2 in the last 8 meetings between these two teams. They go to C.J. Beathard. Is he worse than Brian Hoyer? How can he be? One number you might want to look at, the road favorites after a bye are on a 49-23 run right now. That's hitting at about 68%. So it's a tough one, but I think you might want to lean the over here. The Cowboys have scored at least 28 points in 3 straight. 49ers have allowed 26 in 3 of their last 4. You might want to look lots of points in that game. And I do lean that, listen, the 49ers keep doing it. Why don't you keep going until they don't? And the other one is Chicago.
Yes.
I just don't see Chicago scoring on that Minnesota team, that Minnesota defense. Vikings
Carolina
against the spread. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't see. We're talking about Carolina and the Bears.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm.
Come on, Steve. Pay attention.
3 points on the road. Total 40.5. Chicago at Trubisky start on the road. Carolina losing a tough one last week. I think they come back and cover that small points. I'm not sure I go with Chicago, even though Chicago has beat 2 very good teams at home. They beat Pittsburgh at home, and would they lose a close one?
To Atlanta, week 1.
Week 1 they lost a close one where they should have actually beat Atlanta.
Correct.
So I guess you can say I'm really on the fence on this one.
Now
Another one that I'm just on.
Yep.
You can't like every game, guys.
Sure, you can like every game. Have you seen my parlays?
Have you seen Richard's parlays?
Yeah. You mentioned Minnesota. I think is the line moving? Did it open at 5.5?
It opened. It opened 5.5. It went up to 6. It's sitting 5.5 now. Actually, Sports Interaction opened this one at 4.5.
Oh wow!
It has moved up to 6 in Sports Interaction now, with a total of 39. You know that Baltimore scored 2 special teams touchdowns last week and still lost the game. That almost never ever happens. You know what that tells me? That tells me that Baltimore is just not a very good team. In the past 10 seasons, teams that have scored multiple touchdowns on special teams are 18-3, and they managed to lose that game. That tells me that the Ravens just aren't very good. And as I said, the Vikings 20-6 against the spread, last 26 at home. I don't see how Baltimore puts up even 14 on Minnesota. Minnesota laying the 4.5 or 5. I would lay the points with Minnesota. Actually 5.5 now, 6.
Yeah,
Keeps going up.
It does keep going up, and that's one of those ones where I think, Stephen, sometimes, you talk about sharp money. I think, when the Sharps take a look at Minnesota open up at 4.5, I would think the sharp money would have been all over that.
Yeah, that's as we know, and we've talked about it on our show, and I've talked about it with you over the years. Sharp money moves the number. Very rarely during the regular season is the public going to move the number. So when you see a number go up 1.5, 2 points, especially onto a number like 6, which is one of the 4 key numbers, you're not going to, or one of the 5 key numbers, you're not going to see that public money. That's sharp that's going to be moving that number.
Stephen, thanks so much for joining us here. You're going to have a busy weekend as well, of course, on the Sportsnet radio network.
You got it. 10 o'clock Sunday morning. We'll see you then, Steve.
With slightly cooked Dave basketball. I cannot wait to be there Sunday morning. Look forward to it.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, guys. Have fun.
Later, pal.
Stephen Rapp talking to the Kings of King Street.
The Kings of King Street.
Oh, that's
I like it.
Our good friend John Dix, if he hears that. There'll be some new T-shirts from Dixwear.
And please, John, no extra larges over here, okay? I'm not an extra large.
What is that? What do you
you sent me an extra large shirt, yeah. It's a little big.
You and your 2 girls can. We'll be able to get into that one. Okay, so should we get ready? Are we going to move it along, because we are talking picks? And I think there is a consistency. Actually, even listening to Stephen about what is coming up this weekend in terms of the numbers. And
you mean old Stephen Rapp?
Old. I don't even like Greek food.
I'm surprised. That guy is a restaurant connoisseur.
No, he likes his
like
restaurant.
Honestly, anytime he's been at this place, they invited him to this place. Like restaurants actually, send Stephen Rapp, invites to try our new fall entree menu, Stephen, and let us know how it is. I mean,
what is your favorite Greek dish?
Oh.
I mean, because Irene's is her cousins, after all, too. Don't they have they got their own place, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Diamond Corner in the heart of East York. You know what? I'm pretty simple. I actually like. They make this really good gyro on the Danforth. So it's So it's shaved meat.
Gyro, you're saying?
Gyro.
So
yes.
Gyros to a lot of us.
Yes, gyros.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But what they'll do is I get it loaded. So I get tzatziki sauce just splattered about. It comes in a pita cone, and you'll get like lettuce, onions, tomatoes, all that kind of good stuff. And then they'll stick with the meat. And this isn't very Greek-like, but it is a Greek restaurant. French fries.
Oh, really?
And it is
So there's the twist.
Yes, it is outstanding. It is. It's kind of like Greek fast food, but I do really like it. But besides Irene's mom being a saint, she is an amazing cook.
Oh, really?
So there isn't anything I really don't eat well when I go to their house, and that's we've been really lucky that way.
What about you, roast beef? You go to the Danforth? You had some Greek food?
Don't go to the Danforth that often. But basically what Dave...
Think you're better than them? You think you're better than Greek
basically
people?
What Dave was saying is what I would get at a Greek restaurant. Just like either chicken or whatever kind
pork,
of meat they have.
Well,
they have
I'm getting
the
lamb.
different options. Yeah. Lamb's
I am
really
having
Lamb is
the
very
little grilled Greek lamb, because that's how I make them too. My God, I'm going to do that tonight.
And it's so, and you have to cook it the right way too. It's outstanding meat.
Oh, beautiful meat. I put the olive oil in there, the garlic, rosemary.
Yep.
Oh.
Sounds right. You look like you're doing it right the way.
A little balsamic vinegar. Absolutely.
And the tzatziki sauce is
there you go.
Very good.
Yeah, you like this? You like the big? You like the sauce, do you?
I do.
There you go.
Ew. Okay, so now Do you have the themes for the various picks that we're going to do? Do you have that all ready to go? Roast beef?
I will get them.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we only do it every Friday. It's
good thing he's ready.
The heart of what's Vicky's favorite thing, by the way?
That's hard to say because she only eats 2 different meats, chicken and chicken.
You know what? I changed my mind. It's not lamb that I like. I love the chicken. Wow.
Yeah. Vicky also rhymes with picky.
If we went shopping on our first date, you know what I go shopping for?
What's that?
Furniture.
Furniture.
I'm aggressive that way. We do have to get her on the show sometimes just so people can see.
She doesn't work too far away. She's.
Don't get me excited, Dave. I swear to God. I don't have great concentration.
Just, as the kings of King Street, I'm guessing we're probably 4 city blocks away from her work.
Okay,
so not that far.
And roast beef is. Are you even remotely close to?
He's tying his shoe right now with no socks on.
By the way, did you take last night's game? You didn't take last night's game, and you took Oakland.
Yeah, Oakland plus the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just remember the extra foreplay that wasn't.
Oh, that was the extra foreplay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as you know, it is Friday. We all excited and ready to go there, roast beef. So we will start with mine, and as you know,
let's do it.
You know exactly what it's called. It's called
The Magic of Television.
Here.
No audio.
No audio. Okay, we'll try that again. Why don't you go back to the beginning and you just press the on button. I don't know if this is a proud moment for Ryerson. Yeah, press the on button. The button there that says to turn the sound on.
The audio has to be above 0
volume. So let's try it again. What about this now?
There we go.
Let's try it again. Let's try it again.
And now it's time for Mike Richards' sexy picks of gold sex.
I love gold.
Brought to you by Sports Interaction, Canada's online sports book.
Okay, could that be more crank? That sounded actually like a movie that you'd see from Grease in about 1970, that soundtrack. Okay, as we move it along here are my picks. I'm going to start with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, CFL. It is -3.5. This is a game only for pride, and that's all Hamilton's played for in the last, basically since June Jones has taken over. I like -3.5. It's the old pro-line win, and I see no reason why they don't go in. I think Darian Durant's going to come back, but that's just a waste of time. And so is Montreal, who are going to be ripped to shreds, and I believe we'll probably start over. I mean, you talk about a franchise that needs a complete restart. It's Montreal. What a disaster. I like Hamilton playing with pride, -3.5 on the road. College football, Western Kentucky. That's a game tonight. Western Kentucky. What a horrible number, though. -7.5. It was 9.5, but I'll take them under 10 points anyway. The worst football number in the world, but they're playing one of the worst teams in the world, Old Dominion. Take Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers. Looking at more college football, I'm going to take Virginia Tech -20.5 at home to the skanky North Carolina Tar Heels. I think actually their basketball team would actually be better than their football team this year.
That'd be good to see, eh? The heads-up matchup.
They're horrible. So take Virginia Tech. I'm thinking -20.5. I think they cover the 3 touchdowns, no problem. Oklahoma will go in and lay a beating on Kansas State. That's -13.5. Again, under 2 touchdowns. The Sooners will cover that, no problem. Final games. We just mentioned the game in London. Over 45.5. That's the number I have. Arizona, Los Angeles Rams. I'm not going to say at the Rams because the game is in Wembley. Normally, I don't like the over and overseas, but guess what? Those 2 teams, they're scoring some points, and to go over 45.5, I got no problem with that. Finally, a little bit of footy. Manchester City, home to Burnley. Oh, this will not be pretty. Manchester City on fire, -2.5. And those are your sexy picks of gold sex, David. That's what we did right there. So you ready with the other one? Hopefully the sound won't be hideous.
I was going to say, isn't there a closing on it?
Yeah, after all.
I thought there was a...
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, so we can't really sit there and make fun of Rusty for not...
No, there was no extra.
Oh.
But I'm just, he's looking very confused because there's nothing worse than ruining someone's foreplay.
No,
which, for Rusty, that's not a first.
No.
By the way, Sally. Don't you think Austin Matthews is awesome? What are you doing?
He scored this goal against Montreal in overtime. I couldn't believe it.
Do you think Jacques Pont, if he was alive, do you think he would? Okay, look, pal. Yeah. My dad's Dave Keon. No, he's not. He's not. Clearly, he's not Dave Keon. Your last name's not even Keon, so I don't know where that came from. Yeah, that's ruining foreplay. That's what it is. And so as he's looking at it, are we not, for some reason, not going to have it?
It's just loading. It's taking a while.
Ooh, I bet it's loading. You'd like that.
You're loading.
Yeah, with your special tzatziki sauce. Oh, here it is.
Friday. And you know what that means. A little full play.
Yeah.
With Dave Bastel. He gonna give you some full play you won't forget.
Tzatziki.
Brought to you by Sports Interaction Canada's online sportsbook. Give it something to me, Big Sexy.
Oh, there you go. There you go, Big Sexy.
There we go. Yes, thank you so much, Mike Luck, with that voiceover. You are fantastic, and you can listen to him weekday mornings on The Rock.
That is correct.
Okay, it's the home of the GTA, Rock, right? Is that what they say? Is that
the Rock of the GTA.
The Rock of the GTA. There you go. Our lines, of course, brought to you by SportsInteraction.com. Be sure to take advantage of that 100% bonus. Click on it, drag down menu, Raw Mike Richards. You double up your money right there, up to $200 on your first deposit. So do it and do it today. First off, in that London game, Arizona, Los Angeles. The only bad part about this game is it's actually a 1 o'clock start here on the East Coast because it's a night game in London. So you're not going to get that 9 o'clock game that you sit there and you wake up and you're like, football starts right there. That makes it 4 in a row. No, it isn't. It's at 1 o'clock, so watch out for that. Take Arizona in the points in this one, too. I look at a tight game between these two teams. I look at Arizona getting points. Both teams are road teams in this one, so I'll take Arizona and Adrian Peterson playing quite well in his debut last week.
And everyone's happy about that.
Oh, yeah, especially the kids. Dallas is at San Francisco. San Francisco's been so good covering games. These guys are setting records by losing by 2, 3, 4 points. Last 5 games, I think they've lost by combined 13 points. I'll take San Francisco plus the 6 points at the home to the Dallas Cowboys. Also, now I'm kind of reluctant about this, but it's a large number. And with the Ravens, you never know what you're going to get with the Ravens because sometimes they come out and they crap the bed. Other times they surprise you. Minnesota still has Case Keenum at quarterback. I'm still not buying what Case Keenum is selling because I think he's a hot and cold quarterback as well. I'll take Baltimore reluctantly and 6 points on the road in Minnesota.
That's ballsy day.
And finally, you want to speak ballsy? I'm taking the Cleveland Browns plus 5.5 points.
Oh, my God.
The Cleveland Browns are playing against a Tennessee Titan defense that is ranked 31st in points allowed. There will be some points in this game, and I think Cleveland could keep it close. Titans win this game. Take Cleveland in the points. $25 gets you $350. SportsInteraction.com.
See, I can see that. I agree. That Baltimore's a scary one, though.
Well, the Baltimore is the scariest of the three. Even though I don't like going to the window to click the Cleveland Browns button because you
really it's like
what do you?
I like Baltimore, I like Cleveland. Excuse me?
Yeah, it's like, man, could you like crappier teams?
Yeah. Maybe cricket's your thing.
but it's almost like one of those things where.
But I get the Cleveland pick.
Where the Tennessee Titans, I could see at the first half leading like 21-7. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the game, it's 35-33.
It ain't going to be a pretty game.
And it's like, wait a second. You were just kicking these guys to the curb. And Deshaun Kaiser starts for the Browns. He is back under center after sitting out last week for the inefficient Kevin Hulk Hogan.
So, roast beef, you probably have some amazing intro for yours that's shot and lasers and 360 high def.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. So we're going to do happy endings. And just so you know, I found some music here. The title of this.
Okay.
Central Music Instrumental for Making Love.
Oh.
Here's Russell and that magic music and something he calls happy endings.
Should I move over on camera since we don't have the 3-shot, or?
Yeah, I think that would be outstanding.
Okay.
I think that's
perfect.
Perfect. That's a gift, really, on a Friday.
Right.
It's not even Christmas.
You're not sitting in my lap. Okay. You know what? I'm actually going to move out of this one.
All right, you're going to go. Oh, it's got the into the big chair.
Rusty Bear sit there.
So if you're watching on the dedicated YouTube channel, you have
just seen the switch.
Okay, so make sure you get nice and close.
So tonight, NHL. Dave kind of previewed some of this stuff earlier. Washington at Detroit. Washington's one of the better first period teams in the league, so I'm taking Washington as the first team to score in this game. That pays a 174.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Score is right.
Also in this game, Washington at -1.5 brings a 3.05.
That's a bit. So you like the puck line?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Winnipeg versus Minnesota. Connor Hellebuck's the confirmed starter. 3-0 start. Had a pretty good. Has played pretty well to start the season.
Has never lost ever.
Winnipeg at -1.5, and that pays a 320.
So he's gonna be Enrique Hernandez of hockey and be the greatest player who's ever played any game ever.
Yes.
I think he's going to be able to ride this hot streak. Minnesota's been a
lot of injuries too for the Wild, right?
Yeah, exactly. They haven't had a great start to the season, so I'm taking Winnipeg -1.5.
That's right. You also heard him riding hot. Okay, that's it.
All right.
That's good.
Now get off the show now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll switch.
Thanks, Rust.
Yeah, that was great. Sensual music for making love. Memories of you. Hey, it says 1 hour. Trust me. Yeah, it sounds good on paper, but believe you me, friends.
Will they make that from Mike Luck?
That is not happening.
Jeez.
What?
Yeah, you know it's true.
Just become best friends? Yep. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep.
Yes, it is time. Hopefully you enjoyed today. Thanks to old Stephen Rapp. I don't like Greek food. It scares me. Dad, sign the papers. From Sports Interaction. Remember, sign up on Sports Interaction. They're our sponsors. They are helping us help me help you. Just go to the drop-down menu, put on Raw Mike Richards, and they will bonus you up to $200 free this weekend. Best of luck. We'll have the picks out on Twitter today. Thank you for a great week, and we'll see you next week on RawMikeRichards.com.